the other piece of your question is, how do I validate whether or not the numbers that I calculated on my market are an accurate representation for properties that I want? All right, so they're not all D-level properties that are in an area that you wouldn't feel safe going on a walk, right? They're C, B level neighborhoods that you could reasonably acquire and make a profit. So there's two pieces to this. One is, we're in a kind of a unique market right now where things are opening up. Inventory has been at an all-time low and it's starting to open up. That's a good thing. You're going to have more deals to consider. So that's one. The other piece that I would mention is population difference between this and your other market. What's the population difference between Wichita and Kansas City?
It's pretty big. I mean, Kansas City is a lot bigger. I don't know the actual numbers. I don't have our market analysis sheet in front of me. But it is, I'm trying to pull it up now.
Okay. Because what, Wichita is 200,000 or 300,000 people, right?
Yeah, and then Kansas City was, I mean, about 500,000.
Okay. So when you start getting around the 400,000 or 500,000 people mark, this has been, I wouldn't say this is a hard and fast rule, but this is something I've been noticing over the last 12 to 18 months. When you get above that 400,000 person threshold, you add a lot of competition into the deals that are on the market, particularly in an inventory constrained market. So like, you know, say specifically, say a year ago, right? Some numbers might look really good, but there's a lot of competition. So you might have a lot coming to your inbox, but are you reasonably going to be able to get those for the list price? Because one of the methodologies that wholesalers, really anybody listing a property, will do is they'll list it for less than they know that they'll be able to get, so that they get more eyes on it. We did this with one of the properties that I sold in Austin. I bought it for $250. We listed it at $399 and we closed at $497. And we wanted to get as many eyes on it as possible, have people argue over the property, and then sell for as high as possible. Right. And so if they're sending it to you at $35,000 for this property that you think will ARV at 100, if you put 15 into it, the chances are it's probably going to get bid up. So that doesn't mean that it's for sure going to happen. But if you're considering moving markets to Kansas City, I would do your analysis on Kansas City as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's a comment on Kansas City. Now, going back to Wichita, as you're evaluating, is this a good market for the supply of opportunity, right? The houses that are coming to me. The volume of deals correlating with a changing population makes a lot of sense. So the amount of deals that you're seeing coming through. The question of, am I going to be able to find properties in the area of town that I want, or the types of neighborhoods? The best way to find that out is to try and get in touch with, I would say, 2 local investors, 2 people that invest. And if you need, you could probably talk to a property manager and ask them what their experience has been in working with the investors that they work with, right? Property managers, they're managing properties for investors. That's all they're doing, right? So I would ask those investors, come with a few specific questions, whether it's on a call or just a Facebook message or something like that, a text message, whatever it might be. I'd ask them, how likely is it for me to find a property in a C neighborhood or better, where I can be all in at 70% of ARV for a BRRRR or a flip or something like that, that these people are actually going to go, right? The contractors, the property managers, that's something that I would ask. If they say all of the great properties for this market are in that area and nobody's going to go to there. Indianapolis has an area like this. There's, I don't know that it's as extreme, but in Tulsa, in fact, you're familiar with Tulsa. The northeast area of Tulsa, right, is pretty hood, right? I don't know that contractors, property managers aren't going to go there, but when you see a $19,000 house, you know, part of the reason you get it at a discount is because you might get shot going to visit, right? So that's something to consider there. So the way that I would get around that is try and get some eyes from local experts. So talk to at least 2 investors and ask essentially, am I going to be able to get the properties that I want? But be specific with that question. Here's the
Right.
type of properties that I want. Do you see these come through? Are these the type of properties you focus on? What properties do you focus on? Okay, that way you can better understand. You can pass them deals, right? Add value to their lives as well, their lives and their business. And that will get you more input. If they say like, I haven't seen those in 5 years, that might add a wrinkle to the situation where you might consider pivoting to another market.
Okay.
My expectation is that as we look at, when we're doing market analysis and we look at macro values, we're evaluating kind of top down, bottom up market analysis, those methodologies that I've talked about. Those are generalized numbers, right? So if we're doing kind of the top down approach, the median versus median, right, rent to price ratio that we've talked about, you're going to be able to find better values than that, because that's like an average or a statistical representation of something in the middle, right? You're going to find something better because that's what you're searching for. You're going to find a better property manager, so you're not going to have the vacancy rate of 6% that the market has. You're going to have 4% because you're not going to get a scrub of a property manager, because you know how to interview them and actually curate the right one. Right. So that's what I would recommend, is talk to a couple investors and better understand whether or not that's actually true, or if you need to expand your wholesale list, start considering more MLS deals maybe.
Okay.
Right. In fact, if you have a deal that you want to send over that you're wondering, will this actually work? I'm happy to review it with you on the call.
Okay. Yeah.